Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thursday morning, bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. It's so early, the birds aren't even up yet. The crickets are still chirping. But I'm up doing it, programming, mind, body, and soul. Let's continue our conversation about breakups. But I want to talk about some red flag areas, some areas that you should be paying attention to in the courtship phase so you don't have to go through yet another bad relationship. Wouldn't that be nice? To not have to continue this cycle. Part of this means you have to work on yourself. You may need some coaching. You may need to go further than that and actually need some counseling. But you could at least be half aware of some of these red flag areas, and I suggest right off the top to try and abstain from sex in the courtship phase of a relationship. I know she might want it. I've had women on first dates strip down and beg me to fuck them, and I told myself, no more one-night stands, no more hookups like that. I'm not trying to have a friend with benefits. I'm trying to have a real serious relationship, and real serious relationships, good marriages that last a long time, don't start on one-night stands from bar sluts or whatever. Get to know her. Because if you don't, you're gonna be learning about all kinds of crazy stuff that you should have learned about in the beginning. You're gonna be learning that out in the first few months of the relationship. And how many of us out there have had these relationships where they only last a few months? You go 3, 6 months or so, 8 months, and then you're done. It doesn't work out. Let's end this cycle. So pay attention to some red flags. I've made other videos like this about red flags, and we got a few more. And I've been thinking about these red flags specifically because I have a buddy who's going through a breakup right now. We've done a video already this week about how to handle a breakup. And he has now gone into the phase, maybe some of you can relate, I can't, I don't do this, but some of you guys do, where he's just pouring his heart out on his computer into social media, on Facebook and whatever, writing these long paragraphs about how he feels and whatever he's going through. And I think that's inappropriate. Bro, if you're watching, please stop that crap. Keep that in private. If you want to talk to somebody in one of your support group in private about that exact same stuff, that's perfectly fine. But I don't think it's healthy to publish it for the world to see. That's not a good look. That lowers your status. And you don't want to lower yourself in this time. But let's just jump into this. These are some red flags. Pay attention to this stuff when you're in your courtship phase. This is in no particular order of importance, but they're all important. Don't fight with a chick in a rude or a physical manner, of course not physically. If you meet a woman who throws hands on you, scratches or claws or slaps or punches, even in a somewhat playful way, like she doesn't like your comment, so she gives you a sock or something like that, hey, that's a red flag, man. But particularly when you're arguing, and a lot of people break these rules, and they argue in a very vicious and mean way. Some women can be very mean, and blaming and shaming and calling you names, being really rude. Don't tolerate any of that. You're gonna have arguments, you're gonna have disagreements, and in any relationship, there may be an evening where you don't even wanna hang out with them, you don't wanna talk to them or see them, you're annoyed with them, but don't let that annoyance turn into rudeness. You may think rude thoughts, don't say them. And if she is breaking that rule also, this is a red flag. You may need to get rid of her. And try to find out some of this stuff early. It doesn't mean to start fights with people, but it does mean that you have to be aware of what type of person they are and how someone handles conflict, confrontation, and how they resolve fights is incredibly important to know about. And you can even talk about this type of stuff in a psychological, in a very friendly way, fun way, in your courtship phase, just getting to know each other. And that way you might know what you're getting into. So don't fight rudely. The next one is you have to be the man in the relationship. And this is a complaint that I've heard women give, and I mentor a couple women, and one of them went through a breakup just 8 months or a year ago, a really bad breakup with her husband. I'm not going to air out their dirty laundry. She watches the channel. But I've heard this complaint before, that why can't he just be the man and I just want to be the woman? And when a woman who doesn't want to be masculine, has to be masculine for you, oh, she's just going to turn into a big cunt bitch. You're not going to want to be around her. The whole time you're going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Be a man. Learn how to man up. Be the man in the relationship, and she will find her position, her role. Gender roles are important to know about, and when people play their role properly, relationships work smoothly. So be the man in the relationship. And this may mean that you have to work on some of your manhood skills and some of your relationship skills pertaining to that. Let's go to the next one. This is a rule across the board. Major red flag. No angry, broken women. If she's an angry, broken bitch, to the curb, pull right over, you find another guy. If you start finding in that courtship phase that she's really angry, just in general, she's just an angry person. She's not happy. She's rather miserable. Or she's broken from the past. She's suffering from all kinds of issues that she hasn't addressed. We all have a past, and we all have gone through things, and there's nothing wrong if you were broken once, but you should be mended. I don't mind if the car was in an accident, but get it fixed. I'm not buying a car that still has all the dents and scratches, because I'm not trying to fix that shit. So no angry, broken bitches. This one should be obvious, but it's not to some of you desperate and lonely guys. When you're so desperate and lonely, you start forgiving certain types of behavior. So no drug addicts, dope heads, or alcoholics. And some of that stuff, if it's extreme, it's obvious. Well, of course, I'm not going to date some fentanyl, dope head, heroin bitch, or whatever. Of course not. But there's people that have little minor addictions that hide it, and it's important to pay attention to this stuff, because that could pop up 6 months down the road and you've already fallen in love with her, and now you're dealing with somebody with an addiction problem, and that's a hard relationship to be in. That's a relationship of deceit, manipulation, lies. You can't trust someone. They could be rather manic. So no dope heads, no alcoholics. Even if she says, oh, I don't really drink, but I have ladies' night once a week. Fuck that. I went through this. Trust my experience. I've went through this exact scenario. And she said, we just do ladies' night on Wednesday. And I said, well, look, I don't drink alcohol. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I don't like to be around people who drink. She said, no problem. On a Wednesday, when I go with my ladies' night and we get wasted, I just won't call you, or I won't come over. I'll just talk to you the next day or whatever. Hey, fine. Keep me out of that part of your life. Well, it turned out, and this is the way it is with all the chicks, if they have a ladies' night where they get wasted, that's usually 3, 4, 5 nights a week. That's any time they hang out with their friend. It's not once a week. That once a week thing is a lie that she's telling you. She's an alcoholic. When they say I have a ladies' night, that's an admission of guilt. Yes, I'm a fucked up alcoholic. That's what that is, at least in my experience. So no dope heads, no drunks, nobody with an addiction of any kind. Another major red flag is someone who has unresolved past drama. We all have past drama, everybody does, but you should have it resolved. You yourself should have your past drama resolved. You shouldn't be going into any courtship, any date, whether it's the first or the fifth one, whining and complaining about your past. Be over that shit. It's water under the bridge. You survived it, you grew from it, you moved on, you learned your lesson, and if she hasn't, red flag. If she's still whining and moaning about past boyfriends, about past relationships, about past bosses, her parents, whatever, her sisters and brothers, whatever, red flag. Red flag. And the last one I have on my list should be obvious, but it's not, especially, like I said, when you're desperate and lonely. And if you've been single for a long time and you finally meet some chick and she's going through a little psychological issues, maybe she's a little depressed and she suffers from some depression. Turns out she's a little bit nutty and you feel, well, no one's perfect and I could help her. Look, you're not going to save her. What's that song they play at the gym all the time? She don't want to be saved, don't save her. That's some true lyrics. Do not save her. Do not try. You're not Jordan Peterson. You're not a psychiatrist. Let her go. Find a psychiatrist for her depression. That's a clinical diagnosis. You do not want to start a relationship with somebody who's going through that. If you're in a relationship and somebody goes into a depression, hey, that happens. And you be there for them. And there's many ways that you can do that. And we can do a whole video of how to be around somebody, how to be helpful, what can you do when you're in a relationship with somebody who is slipping into a depression. But in the courtship phase, if you recognize this, red flag. Sorry, baby. Go talk to a shrink and let me know how it works out for you. Call me when you're in a better place in your life. And I've had to say that to people, and that's a hard thing to say, but it's a mature thing to say. I know these videos aren't always as popular as they could be. This is hard stuff to talk about, but it's all food for thought.